Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at onpurposely.com.
Guess what time it is? It's car quiz time. This is the episode we do every so often on God on the Go, where we see how good our memory is from previous episodes. If you haven't had a chance yet to listen to the episodes we've been doing on gratitude, go back and listen to those and then jump back here with me to test yourself on how much you remember. I'm Julie Lyles Carr. This is God on the Go, part of the Purposely Podcast Network, and I'm here to help you make the minutes matter as you're in the car on the way to school or practice or taking a few minutes as a family to talk about God. Are you ready for today's car quiz? Let's do it. We've been talking about gratitude. Gratitude when things are great. Gratitude when things are hard. Gratitude when it can be hard to find something to have gratitude about. Gratitude when you're angry. Gratitude for the lesson and how to be a gratitude leader. We've learned some pretty fascinating things about what gratitude means. So let's jump in and see how much you remember. Are you ready? Here we go. How many times a day do we say thank you? Do you remember? Think about it. I'll give you a couple more seconds. Okay, here we go. We say thank you about 5 times a day, but researchers say that 3 of those times we're not really even thinking about what we're saying. We're just saying it kind of offhand, like, thank you, oh, thanks. That's why it's so important to take a moment when you're saying thank you to really appreciate what it is you're thanking someone for. Okay, next question. What are the chances you'll feel even happier once you say something with gratitude? Once you say thank you for something and really mean it? Do you remember? What are the chances? Okay, here we go. You'll be 90% happier when you're grateful. That's a whole lot happier. Gratitude and happy go together like peanut butter and jelly. Okay, on to the next question. Here we go. How many caves are in Israel? I'm going to help jog your memory a little bit. We talked about this on the episode that we called Gratitude When You're Sad. We talked about the caves that are in the land of Israel because of the Bible story we talked about in that episode when David hid from his enemies in a cave and he was sad to be having to do that, but he still found things to be grateful for. Okay, so are you ready to answer the question? How many caves are in Israel? The answer is thousands. Israel has thousands of caves, which is really fascinating because for a nation that is as small as it is, it has way more caves than a place that you would expect. So for example, New Jersey, which is around the same size in terms of land as Israel. So Israel has thousands of caves. Okay, next up. How long have kids been playing hide and seek? So for how many years have kids been playing hide and seek? This is from when we talked about sometimes having to look hard for things to be grateful for. We called it gratitude hide and seek. And I told you about when I was a kid during the summers, all the kids in my neighborhood would play these epic rounds of hide and seek after dinner. And it was awesome. So any guesses for how long kids around the world have been playing hide and seek? Do you remember? Okay, here's the answer. For over 2,000 years. Over 2,000 years. And it could be even longer than that. Those are just the first written descriptions of the game that we found. So the bottom line, kids have been playing hide and seek for a long, long time. Okay, here's another one for you. Which emotion do scientists say we feel the most in our bodies? Do you remember which feeling, which emotion really shows up, like your whole body feels it when you feel this emotion? The answer is anger. When we feel anger, our hearts beat faster. We might feel a little sweaty or shaky. Our whole body feels it when we feel anger. And it can feel weird when we're feeling like that to also find things to be grateful for. But that's the cool thing about how God created us. We can feel a lot of things at the same time, including being angry about something, but also seeing where we can have gratitude. Okay, we've got just 2 more questions. How are you doing? Are you remembering a lot of these? Okay, so how many people move every year in the United States? How many people move every year in the United States? I shared with you about how I moved a lot when I was in high school. I went to 3 different high schools and it was really hard. But I can also look back now and have gratitude for the lessons I learned during that time. So the answer is almost 35 million people a year in the United States move. That is a whole lot of moving. So let me ask you this. What are some things you've learned during a hard time that you can be grateful for? And now to the last question. And this is a two-parter. This comes from our episode on being a gratitude leader instead of being part of the complaining crowd, the complaint crowd. So how many times a day do people complain? I'll ask the question again. How many times a day do people complain? You ready for the answer? Researchers say we complain between 15 to 30 times a day. That's a lot. I did some math, and that means for every hour we're awake, we're usually complaining at least 1 or 2 times every hour. That is a lot of complaining practice. Okay, here's the second part of the question. What happens to your brain when you listen to complaining for at least 30 minutes a day, or you complain for at least 30 minutes a day? Well, you ready for the answer? Do you remember what happens to your brain? Scientists say it makes our brain shrink a little bit, which means when I complain or I listen to a lot of complaining, it makes me a little less smart. So that's good motivation to stay away from complaining as much as I can. So how'd you do on the Gratitude Car Quiz? I am proud of you for playing along. Next week, we're going to start a new series that I can't wait to share with you. Be sure and text the word GO, that's G-O, to 89419 to stay up to date on the latest episodes, for discussion questions for you and your family, for fun trivia facts like the ones we talked about today, and a whole lot more. And I'll see you next time.